Welcome everybody to Just Landed. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Realme C15 device, which was released last year. This is in fact in the limited edition packaging, which is a Doodle box, so let's take a look at it more closely. So flipping the box around, you can see that it pays homage to its gaming traditions, the entertainment consumption, which is more for media, videos, music, etc. This device of course has a massive battery, so some homage to that huge battery, and of course the camera setup, which is a quad camera setup, first on a C series budget Realme device. In terms of color combinations for the box, Realme keeps to its usual mustard yellow and black colors. The rear of the box has some indication of the key specs. For more details on that, do watch our Unbox Spin It video. As we open the box, let me talk a little bit more about the Doodle box competition. So Realme had a challenge for its fans, and based on the submissions made, this was the winning Doodle art box. The insert that you see me holding right now has information about the competition and also names the winner whose design this box is. So there is a limited run of 1,000 units of this box, which is specific to the Philippines market and available via Lazada. Moving on to the phone unit, you can see that it's a gorgeous design, which in the past was limited to flagship devices and upper mid-range devices, but Realme has managed to bring this to the budget segment, which is very impressive. It's available in two colors, a silver and this one, which is a marine blue. As you can see, it refracts with the light, the three blue quadrants. The design and backplate is a polycarbonate material. Looking at the right side, you can see two buttons, one being the primary power button and the other one being a volume rocker. Moving on to the other side, it's clean. There is nothing except for the SIM tray, which is right at the end. As for the layout at the bottom, there is a 3.5mm audio jack, micro USB, and a bottom firing speaker. Nothing on the top and nothing on the left side. As you can see, it's a large device. My thumb barely touches the power button, but reaching the volume rocker is a little hard, so this is a very large device. The screen measuring 6.5 inches. Another reason for the probable large size is the battery, since it houses a massive 6000 mAh battery. At the top is the front camera, an implementation which Realme is calling the Mini Drop Full Screen. Moving on to the rear is the quad camera setup, below which is a flash and also a fingerprint scanner. As you can see, placement is pretty spot on. Holding the phone, your index finger goes straight to the fingerprint scanner. The edges of the Realme C15 are rounded, which makes it comfortable to hold. Looking again at the rear, you can see the three quadrants, and it does have a ribbed effect. Running my finger through it, you can hear the sound of the tread pattern. So overall, a pretty gorgeous device, given its good pricing. Time to fire it up and look at the first boot experience. In the interest of time, as we power on this device, through certain stages of the boot up process, we're going to run the video at a slightly faster pace. Alright, so let's power it up. First off is that Realme and Android splash screen. Next up is the welcome splash screen with the Realme branding. The first prompt for user input is for language selection. Next up is the region. As expected, there is a terms of service to agree to. Note that this device does not have a SIM card insert, so of course it's going to prompt us to connect to an available Wi-Fi network. You could of course skip this step, but I'm going to go ahead and connect to my Wi-Fi. For anything on the left pane without a timestamp, it means that it was pretty much instant. Next up is the Wi-Fi assistant. Skipping that, the device checks for updates. It also gives you an option to copy apps and data from a previous phone or an existing device which might have been backed up on the cloud. And finally, I'm being asked to log into my Google account. After all, it's an Android phone, so to get started, you are going to need a Google account. Once connected to your Google account, you're going to need to accept the Google services. And this also gives you options such as backup to Google Drive, etc. You get a prompt asking you if you'd like to subscribe to daily updates from the assistant, such as weather updates and codes, etc. Next step is tuning your assistant to respond to your voice. So Google asks you to say a few different phrases, mostly to do with Google, such as "Okay Google," "Hey Google," etc. So once it hears your voice a couple of times, it's customized to understand your voice. You get prompted for security stuff such as a lock screen, but you could of course do this later from your settings. You can set the phone to do updates overnight, and then it again prompts you if you want to import any data from the cloud. Next up is a prompt from the app market asking if you want to install popular apps. This is completely voluntary, so you could just pick what you want and you could skip what you don't want. It's nice that these do not come pre-installed because bloat on the phone is always annoying. And finally, a welcome screen to the Realme user interface. As the desktop begins to display, you get notifications on the apps you chose to install. I'd selected just one app, the Shazam app. The Realme UI is clean and reminiscent of ColorOS. Swiping to the left, you can see the screen on the right, which lists all the apps, and of course you could bring down the notification bar, which has critical notifications. And you're pretty much set up. Clicking on the Finish option, you are again prompted if you want to connect to a mobile network, and it checks again for updates. The device is pretty up to date at this point. Since I have nothing to download or backup from the cloud, we are finally done. While we will do a detailed review later, let's just fire up one of the apps and see how this device performs, just to get a look and feel of the device. We're gonna go with YouTube, that way we could check out video and audio. Note that this is the first launch of the app, so YouTube is not yet cached in the memory. I've fired up here a video from Mr. Who's the Boss. For those of you who are not familiar with this channel, there are some great tech reviews and updates that you can check out.
design of this is kind of amazing. I've wanted to do this for a long time now. Just go online and buy the most ridiculous phones I can find. And you probably guessed my weapon of choice for that is Wish Doodle. Okay, so we're gonna start fairly tame. Let's have a look.
Video looks crisp, sound is pretty decent. Overall, a nice device, a nice screen. Kudos to Realme for putting together this compelling device at an impressive price point. As you can see, performance is pretty snappy. Even with a few apps open, seems to be running pretty smoothly. Hope you are enjoying our content. Do consider subscribing to our channel and don't forget to like this video. Let's look at the About phone to check out the specs of the device. Of course, if you'd like a more detailed look at the specs, for now our unbox video is out, which has some of those specs listed. And of course, in the future, we will do a full detailed review. The device does come with Android 10, and this is the latest version on board. Let's grab a screenshot of that. Being the first time, you do get prompted for permissions, which is nice. The on-screen indicator for volume reduce and increase. Alright, so that's pretty much it for our first impressions of the Realme C15 device.